Firstly, Vivek, thanks for having me, and it's been a great 2 days. I was just sharing with my team that I don't often get the opportunity to listen to all that's happening around the world, so it was great to be here, and Bali's always awesome. So,
Thank you.
uh, coming back to what you talked about, which is overall digital transformation, I want to zoom out and talk about the extent of the transformation we're seeing in India, because I think for me that was, I've taken this role, it's been 9 months,
Right.
and one of the things that, you see the numbers, but it's only when you're deeply embedded in the country that you see the pace of change that's taking place. So if I zoom out, there's a few things that I'd want to leave the audience with. India's obviously going to be the third largest economy, an $8 trillion economy by 2030. A trillion of that is going to be driven by digital. So that's one big stat to sort of take away. The second is we're talking about 900 million people, 950 million people on the internet in the not very distant future, out of which 400 or 450 million of them are going to be transactors online, buying things. So that's also, and that's not a distant future, the 450 million is expected to be by 2025. Underpinning all of that are changes that we're seeing in terms of data. Yesterday, lots of people spoke about how the cost of data has become super cheap in the country. 5G is now rolling out, and I think it's more than 500, 600 cities already. So there is that. Then the second bit, which sort of astounded me in terms of the scale of the transformation that's happening, is the digital public infrastructure in the country. So that's UPI, things like DigiLocker, where people can download their, government vaccination certificates, your IDs, everything. So I think Aadhaar has enabled all of that. So there's a few big tailwinds from a macroeconomic point of view in terms of investments flowing in, but also a real investment in infrastructure. So and again, it was a great 2 days. One of the numbers that I saw a lot was around the 1 billion retail, ad industry, 1.3 or something, in the
2 billion.
2 billion in India. The thing that I would say is that there is huge headroom in the country overall. We heard the marketplaces bit also yesterday where Flipkart, as only somebody mentioned, was 2% of their overall GMV was ad dollars, and that there was scope to increase that. So if you look at India, only advertising revenues as a percent of GDP is only around 0.5%. When you look at the US, 1.9% is the comparative number. So when I actually look at the headroom for growth, as the economy matures, as more people move to digital advertising, overall advertising, I think you'll see that as a percentage of GDP, this number of 0.5 becomes 1%, 1.2%. The rising tide will lift all boats. So you'll see retail grow, you'll see digital grow, you'll see multiple formats succeed, and there's space for lots of players in the country. We talked about some of the big trends we were seeing on content creators, on short form video, but the other equally big trend that I'm seeing, not just in India, but across other parts of the world as well, is people messaging a business versus picking up a phone call or doing their transaction online. So in fact, 8 out of 10 Indians we surveyed talk to a business every week. So that's a pretty massive stat. So what we've seen on business messaging is this huge sort of uptick of our products that we've launched, many of them with an India first lens. But it's not just the large HDFC banks of the world. It's the small businesses that are also downloading our free app, setting up their catalog, sending reminders. So it's been really, Vivek, I was frankly quite surprised because I'm a banker before this. I spent 15 years in banking before I moved to Meta 8 years ago. And the kind of pace of change in India in the banking sector, and a lot of it happening on messaging, has been really impressive. Somebody was mentioning about the content revolution yesterday and that it hadn't happened. I would argue I have a slightly different point of view. I think it's already happened in India, and it's happening in India because the content and creator, and it's led a lot by creators.
Right.
So coming back to your point, there are around, I think the study that I read was there's around 100 million creators in the country today. It was some study which sort of boggled my mind, but the first thing my team did when I moved to India was, you need to create a reel because this is how people express themselves in the country. We're certainly seeing it play out on our platform. I'll give you some stats. Globally, we're seeing short-form video explode, and a lot of that is coming from India in a big way for the company. We have around 200 billion reel plays every day on our platform. It's a pretty massive number, or every month, I think, yeah, sorry. but I think YouTube's equivalent was 70 billion yesterday. So we're seeing that, and we're seeing that increase, and a big part of that coming from India. But a large part of that is being powered by creators.
Right.
So what we're seeing is creators that are not only from big metros, but from tier 2, tier 3 cities, using local language to create content on our platform. And what we're also now seeing is this lovely sort of merging with media companies, and media companies using their IPs to create content on our platform, and working with creators as well to distribute that content. So we've been using AI for a very long time as a company. I think 2015 was,
Right.
but 2014 was when we started our early AI efforts. So for a long time now, we've used AI to do a couple of things. A lot of the recommendations you see on our platform are AI and ML led. In terms of newsfeed, what you see as even on our ad ranking system. So for a lot of that's helped even us combat a lot of our signal loss issues that people talked about yesterday on ATT, and some of the changes that we saw. So AI has been a big part of that. We've also used AI to keep people safe on our platform. Things like brand safety, things like taking out harmful user content. So we use AI there as well. But Gen AI has put a whole different spin on it, right? So since last year, a couple of ways we've used AI for marketers, which is two ways I'll talk about, and then I'll talk about Gen AI. One is we've consolidated all our AI products into our automated suite of products. And what we've seen is just in Q4 of last year, advertisers reported a 20% increase in their outcomes using this suite of products that we launched. So we're seeing results come in, people are seeing it being cheaper and getting much more conversions. The second thing that we saw on AI was also this work that around, if you see Reels, I come back to Reels, and I'll talk to you about a stat which I found pretty astounding. On Reels, Reels has increased time spent on our platform pretty significantly, and I think we reported in our last results that I think almost 40% of the content that you see on Instagram now on Reels is AI recommended. So it's not from a connection that you have. So you're seeing this big explosion of short form video, and you're seeing AI on our platform helping power discovery of those reels. And that also means there's a flywheel effect of creators. By 2030, it's said that 40% of GDP will be powered by small businesses. The number is, there's some 70 million small businesses. For us, what we find is many of them don't no longer set up a website. They start their business on WhatsApp, or they start it on Instagram, right? We want to provide tools for them to be able to do that and continue investing and doubling down on that segment, making it easier for them to onboard, helping them train. And for me, that's also, I'm quite passionate about more women entrepreneurs and more women-owned businesses. So giving it a lens of having more women succeed on our platforms is a big focus. So I would say the small business bit. The second is just around business messaging. We talked about that. We just announced some additional features to WhatsApp payments as well, because we want to close that experience within WhatsApp. So business doesn't have to invest in an expensive app if they're just trialing and testing something out. They can build flows, they can take payments, they can get a customer within WhatsApp. So we're doing a lot of, not just that, a lot of work around business messaging overall, because that's again where we see Indians spend their time. The third, and we talked about it a lot, is just the creator economy and what we content creation on our platform. More partnerships with companies, more support to content creators is the third bit. Underpinning all of this, and this is a personal thing that my team and I feel very strongly about, is how do we make Meta in India sort of a lighthouse for the company overall. So we are always putting our hands up to test and innovate and do new things for Meta globally from India, but equally, like much more, visibly be a big participant in India's digital transformation. So those are some goals we have.
Well, thank you very much. And on that note, thanks so much, Sandhya. Thank you.
Thank you.